Hey everybody, Josh here with a look at another Star Wars toy. And today we are looking at the Dewback. And this little fella is from the Micro Machines Action Fleet Collection. So let's take this little guy over to the toy studio and check him out a little closer. Come on, let's go. Alright guys, here we are today in the toy studio with a toy from the Star Wars Micro Machines Action Fleet Collection. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Micro Machines and the Action Fleet series, what they are, Micro Machines is a collection of toys that are very small, obviously. And so they made two basic kinds of Micro Machines. You have some that are very, very small, about 1 inch in size, and I'm talking about the size of the ship or the vehicle. And then they made a line called the Action Fleet Collection, which is what you're looking at here, where the ships are a little bit bigger. They're about medium sized. They're anywhere from 2 to 6 inches in length and height and all that. And this is one of the smaller ones from the Action Fleet Collection. This is an Imperial, or a Dewback with an Imperial Stormtrooper on top of it. And of course you'll remember these guys from Episode 4, A New Hope. And what you have to remember about these toys is they came out in the mid to late 90s. So this is before the prequels or anything like that. This is a little bit of an older guy. And just to show you another thing, the size of this I want to call it a vehicle, but it's a creature. But it's part of the Action Fleet Collection. But they're very small. And to give you the context, here is a 3 3/4 inch figure. So you can see the difference in size and see how small this guy actually is. I know sometimes on camera it can be a little difficult to get the scale of something, but this is so you can see how small this little fella really is. And let's go ahead and take a look at him here. And I'll go ahead and, of course, bring him closer. And so just to let you know up front, the Dewback does not have any movement to it whatsoever. He is a stationary creature. The legs don't move, the tail doesn't move, the head doesn't move. The only moving part, as you can see, is the Stormtrooper does come off. Because they did make a Dewback for the the Power of the Force collection. And he actually has moving legs and tail and head and all that. Okay, so as you can see, we have a Stormtrooper riding his back. And the Stormtrooper is removable. So all you got to do is as you can see, he's already loose. You just pull him off. Nothing to it. And you have a figure that does have movement, but it's very limited because he needs to be able to sit in that saddle. So there's a limit to how far. As his knees are locked into this position, as you see here, and the only place you get movement on this figure is at the hip joint. So, and the thing is, they make the legs one piece. So when you move one leg, you're actually moving both. So there's a little bit of movement in the figure. And it's the same thing with the arms. As you can see, when I move one arm, both of them move. So the arm is one solid piece. And you can see he's holding his staff. And that does not come out of his hands. It is permanent, and it does have a little bit of flexibility to it. So you don't have to have a bunch of concern about breaking it, because these figures will break. I've had them break on me before. But just for the size of this guy, it's kind of amazing the amount of detail they were able to get into it. I'm impressed by that. Okay, so there you have your Stormtrooper. And looking at Mr. Dewback here. And as you can see, the saddle isn't anything fancy. It's just a little notch cut out so you can put the legs on either side of it. And there's no, as I said, there's no movement in the creature at all. There's a lot of detail to him. He looks very nice. It's a very nice molding. And none of the reins move or anything like that. They're all molded onto the body. And can see, there you go. It actually has a date stamped on it. 1996 Lucasfilm Limited. Alright, so there is your basic Dewback. There's nothing super fancy about him. He's made out of a thick, dense plastic. It has some weight to it, you know. So anyway, so when you buy these Action Fleet collection, what you get is, depending on which one you buy, you get anywhere from 2 to 5 figures with it. So this is one that came in a 5-pack of figures, and we'll run through those real quick. So of course you have the Stormtrooper, which sits on the back of the Dewback. And then when you bought this one, it also came with 4 extra figures, and they were all bounty hunters. So here is the first one. It is IG-88, and he came in the package. There was a bunch of bounty hunters in the packaging. And I know these guys are from this guy's from Empire, and that's from A New Hope, but I think they were kind of trying to made up the whole idea of the Dewback was hunting for someone, and so are the bounty hunters. So they put them in the same package together. And so you get a little tiny IG-88 as well. And he has the same basic movements as this whole toy line. So if you move his arms, as you can see, they're connected with his blaster rifle, and it does not come out of his hand. So you try to move one arm, you're going to move both of them. It's just the way it works. And same thing with his legs. As you can see, the legs are connected at the feet. So when you move the legs, you're going to move both of them at the same time. But he does have leg movement. So there is your tiny IG-88. See, will he actually stand on his own? All right. So then after that, you have a tiny Bosk figure that came with this toy. And same basic movements. You move one arm, you're moving them both. Same with the legs. He does have movable legs. And just one of the things I really appreciate about this toy line is, for the size of these figures, probably a little over an inch, they got a lot of good detail in here. So I really can appreciate that as a collector. But there is your Bosk figure. Will he stand? Come on, guy. All right, now there's Bosk. And then after that, you will get a tiny little Greedo figure. Same thing. Oop, excuse me. Move one arm. You're moving them both. Same thing with the legs. You move one leg. You got to move them both. It's one solid piece. And these extra characters, they don't really interact with the Dewback all that well. Alright, there is Greedo. And then finally you get the King of Bounty Hunters. You'll get a little tiny Boba Fett action figure when you purchase the Dewback. And he has the same basic movements. Move one arm, you're moving them both. Same thing with the legs. So he does have leg movement. And then, of course, he does have the backpack. It does not come off. And it's got a little flexible missile on it, so you don't have to have huge concerns about breaking it. Ah, little guys are hard to hold on to. All right, now here is the Real test. Will he stand? All right. Here, let's frame that up a little bit better. All right, guys. So when you buy the whole set, or the toy, if you are lucky enough to find this toy in the box still, and I have seen them on eBay and Amazon, so you can still pick these things up. This is what you will get. You're going to get these 4 bounty hunters, the Dewback, and a stormtrooper. So I guess they might have been a little concerned about people actually wanting to buy a tiny little Dewback toy, so they threw the A-list bounty hunters in there to incentivize you to purchase. And it worked for me, so maybe it'll work for you. But there you go, guys. There is the whole set. This is the Star Wars Micro Machines Action Fleet Collection. This is the Dewback with Stormtrooper and Bounty Hunters. And thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Bye.